Hi, this is Catherine Morgan. I'm the founder of the Depression Discussions, the conversations entrepreneurs need to have. And today I'm thrilled to be speaking with Ramon Ray. Ramon is the founder of Smart Hustle Magazine and several other businesses that I'm sure he'll tell you about. This gentleman is high energy, folks. You are in for a treat and a double shot of espresso. Hi, Ramon.
Hey, what's up, Catherine? Thanks for having me. And yes, as you said, founder of Smart Hustle Magazine at smarthustle.com, small biz technology. And in a nutshell, I speak and write and work with, I help small business owners through my speaking, and I work with large brands. I'm not a consultant. I don't make my living through the small businesses, but I work with large brands and represent them through a variety of things. So I'm so excited to be here and especially talk about a dark topic, but hopefully that we can shine light into and make it a little better for somebody today. So I'm so excited. Thank you for seeing value in me sharing with you today.
Well, I loved your South by Southwest talk. I now have my, tentacles out looking for, pieces and people talking about depression, especially entrepreneurs such as yourself. And people have been open with it, but maybe on their own blog, after an event, after we lose something. But you go public at South by Southwest. That's pretty darn public, and on YouTube about your struggles with depression. Can you share a little insight about that and what?
Absolutely. And I think as we talked previously, in the green room prior to the recording, as it were, I think that there's this aura and glare. I was just watching before the 11 o'clock. I was trying to finish it. I was at 10. I had like 7 minutes left watching a recent Shark Tank episode. Point being is that there's this aura of, and again, to full disclosure, or I'll set the stage, speaking here about entrepreneurial depression. People get depressed about all kinds of things, and suicide, just to be clear.
For sure.
Sexual abuse, kids, and all that. But today, with Catherine, talking about entrepreneurs. So as entrepreneurs, there's this thing of glory and honor, and I'm an entrepreneur. I only lost $10 million yesterday, and we're going to conquer the world. And yeah, that's all part of that. You work with entrepreneurs, I do too. We're cool people and we like what we do. Yes.
We do.
But behind the curtain, the sales didn't go through. I can't find an employee. I'm racking debt. My wife or my husband doesn't understand. Nobody knows we haven't had meat for 6 months. These are real things. I've been there, all these places and more. I was fired from the UN. So to answer your question in short, why did I go through it? I was just tired of it, Catherine. I was just tired of the glamour and it's all great. And I said to some of my friends' chagrin, let me just at least step out and say, listen, yeah, I'm Ramon. I've written books. I'm blessed and successful, but I struggle. And today, thankfully, I don't. I'm great, but I've had dark periods of life, suicide, and that's the symptom, is it, Catherine? You know better than me, symptom of depression or vice versa.
It's a result or, ouch. Yeah. I don't know anybody who is an entrepreneur who hasn't experienced some dark nights. And I think it can be tempting to think that you're the only person struggling with lumpy revenue. You're the only person who's overworking and your spouse or kids are really irritated with you, or your family doesn't understand what you're doing.
Yes.
When we hang up, I'm doing a post about how, your friends and family just might not get it. And thank God for my colleagues who understand my passion for this project, because everybody else is like, you're doing what?
Yeah.
They do not get it. Not
Absolutely.
At all.
Absolutely. You're so right. And I think for me, the journey has been, I think, a few things. I mean, how I've gotten through it, I think, is one, I think some people, Catherine, they simply should not be entrepreneurs. You need to get a 9-to-5, go work at GM, Starbucks. I don't care what you're doing. Go work somewhere else. Not in a bad way. The mental fortitude is not for you. I know another thing that helped me with this, Catherine, is the aspect of just being a bit smarter. For example, finances is not my strong point.
Right.
I'm like, why am I hitting myself over the head? I need to get better at this. So getting better at weak areas lessens the stress, correct? If you're better at what you do.
Is that a matter of kindness or to yourself and not beating yourself up for it, and also getting information and filling in some gaps?
Absolutely. And I think for me, it was the latter, is that just it's not fair to run into these holes, let's say, of doing something wrong. Let's say not paying your employees. I'm making it up, but not paying your employees. Well, you didn't learn how to do it. Take some classes, go to the community college or online. Here's how I pay employees, or here's how I run a financial statement. Now you can lessen a little bit that stress because you're smarter, if that makes sense.
Smarter. Okay. Well, smart hustle is your thing, isn't it? Can we, I was on your Facebook Live last night, and
Okay.
you talked a little bit about hustle, but that's been a theme in some previous to depression discussion conversations, the good and the bad of hustle, the motivation, the setting the stage for what's required to be successful as an entrepreneur, and also you know what, I don't want to work that hard. That sounds exhausting. That sounds like a heaping helping of crazy. Can we talk about your theory about hustle?
Absolutely. And I think working with entrepreneurs, I think there's two kinds of people who come to mind. I hope they're not listening to this. They may guess I'm talking about them, but sorry guys, here it goes. So there's one individual who I know, and this person, she's just not cut out to be an entrepreneur. You know, she says, Ramon, I don't want to wake up at this time. I don't want to go to bed at this time. I'm not willing to do all this. That's not a problem. That's her journey. So that goes back to just the raw hustle, which it does take at some point. Underline what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not saying all the time, 24/7.
Right.
But there is a period, a season, where you are going to have to give it all, lay it all on the carpet. End of story for most people.
Yeah, a product launch, or if you're doing a book launch, or if you're doing, like, there are times when you're going to be heads down and everything else falls off your plate. You're not getting to the gym like you should.
That's
You're
right.
maybe not getting as much sleep. You travel a lot for speaking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you need to know that, you know, some other stuff's not going to be happening.
Absolutely right. You may not see your kids or your wife or your husband, whatever it may be. So that's the hustle part. And you know that I'm a firm believer. You have to do the hustle, be persistent, and I can go on. But I think what the other side of it then is the smart and the brains about it. There's a lot of smart people, Catherine, as you know, but they're not willing to do the hard work. Most of us are willing to do the hard work. I don't find too many lazy people, as it were, but the tact, the brains, the emotional intelligence, Catherine said she won't buy my vacuum. I wonder if I can get to her cousin and have him say it was good. You get what I mean?
Right.
The strategy. So I'll be brief there, but that's really my thesis of it, is that I think the hustle and grind are important, but as Robert Herjavec has said, I interviewed him from Shark Tank, the smarts, the brains, the strategy, that's so important, and you just can't survive as an entrepreneur.
Energy. What I'm really hearing from you is energy and commitment.
Absolutely. And I think that's a big part of it as well. I think the brains behind it, how to do it, the struggle, and definitely the energy and commitment. Listen, being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's not a once and done. Again, some people love Shark Tank, some people don't. You watch Marcus Lemonis, The Profit, what you're doing here. You interview entrepreneurs. It's not an easy path. Now, you hope at some point, I've arrived, as it were, and cash flow's going and things are okay. But as you're starting your business and seasonality, it takes some push and some hard work.
Okay, then you just queued up something I've been dying to ask somebody, which is, as far as the seasonality, do you find that once you've nailed it, you get a little bored and you need to reinvent yourself or relaunch something? Like, I'm finding that I'm kind of addicted to the creativity cycle and the launch. And then after that, I'm like, it's out in the world. Let it do its thing.
That's me all day, Catherine. I feel, and again, I'm not a Jeff Bezos or whoever it may be that I can just say, Catherine, I'm making it up. Catherine, you launch this part of the business. I'm going off to launch a tuna fish company or whatever. That was a silly example, but you get my point. But yeah, I feel that. And that's why I find myself meddling in the big things. My challenge, Catherine, is that since I am a very small business, work out of a home office, is I got to be careful. I could say, you know what, I'm going to launch a mattress company.
Right.
Small because technology is small. I don't have the bandwidth to launch a mattress company and a soup canning company. So yeah, I find that as well. And that's where, again, I have to be careful, because the depression and all that and the tension, the pressure comes when I make those missteps. But what I do with that, Catherine, is within my business, I have so many varied different things I'm doing that gives me great satisfaction. And one point I wanted to make, going back to some of the steps I've gone through, the solutions, as it were, for some, it's not ever a solution for some, but the solutions I found is that having something greater than myself. I volunteer quite a bit, being in my community. And for me, it may not be for all. For me, it's been my deep faith. I happen to be a Christian. So for me, my faith going back to something greater than myself. And if that's not for you, stick to the community. But don't just be in
Let's start a mastermind, help other small business owners, volunteer at your chamber, go do the small business advisory council. Like, you're right, especially solopreneurs, and I work out of my home office just like you. I need to manage against a funk by deliberately scheduling in calls with people, events and things, because I can get so isolated and not want to leave my house. And I know that connection and helping somebody else is one key to keeping, good mental hygiene, let's call it.
Absolutely. I love that, mental hygiene. And I would tweak that a bit, go to the masterminds and all that, which is good, but I would even take it up a bit level notch, Catherine. I would say do something once or twice or whatever year, even non-business. You can do it with business, do it with business friends.
Right.
Go to the mastermind, but go play pool. So I want to be very clear. Go fish. Go take your son and go climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I think you pronounce it. So, but you're right. I found, so get out of your business, do different business things, volunteer, mentor other people, but then also just do something different. Go take a walk in the park, do a ping pong eating contest, whatever you want to do.
Okay, so besides service, what are some tactics that seem to work for you in keeping your head in a good place?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing probably is that, well, one, do you love what you do? I think that's an important thing, Catherine. I bet there's some entrepreneurs or business owners. Every business owner is not an entrepreneur, but that's a debatable question. But
that's a Seth Godin question. Let's leave that to Seth.
Yes, some entrepreneurs, some business owners, they're in a business where they're stuck. I hate speaking, Catherine. I'm saying sarcastic.
You don't hate speaking. I know you love speaking.
Yeah, I don't want to speak, but I got to do it to feed my family. That's a tough situation. How do they get out of it? So if you're doing what you love, and us adults tell kids this all the time, but it's so true, you'll never work a day in your life. I wake up ecstatic because I love what I do. So that's one. I think two, go ahead, what are you going to say?
No, please.
I was just going to say, two, is the aspect of family, being family involved with kind of what you're doing. My kids have traveled with me, so those two things kind of, and I can mention more, but those are a few things that, as you said, what keep your head in the game. And every morning I have a devotional, things of this nature. So,
yeah. Me too. I tell people I meditate for other people, not for myself, because I'm just a much nicer person when I've meditated.
Right. Absolutely. It's so important. So important to get that, again, like you said, to get your head in the game. So I just switched today. I'll show you this. This is my little Fitbit. Oh, the band is here. I had it on and I threw it away, verbally stopped wearing it, but I'm back now. So the point I'm making is that I started exercising in the morning because at night I was falling asleep and I wasn't going to the gym. Right. And I had my first workout today in the morning and I feel great. So.
Fantastic. Good for you. I find that if it's not physically on my calendar, it really doesn't get done. I've got to be that hands-on with myself.
Absolutely. I like how you said that. I have a task list today. I put up reminder, get toilet paper, go to the post office, go to the UPS store.
Right.
Just so I can get it done.
Very sexy. But we also have life, right? We got to keep the house stocked. We got to, do that stuff.
That's right.
It sounds like you prioritize self-care as well. You've mentioned going to the gym and doing your morning routine. But what other kinds of self-care have you found helpful?
Yeah, one, going back to, this goes back to physical health, drinking water. It sounds weird, but again, I used to not be a water drinker, but having it, like you said, part of it, and you can help me say this better, Catherine, let's take the simple thing about drinking water. For those of us who are not naturally healthy and gym rats, having it in front of me, having the bottle, I'm showing you my world, I live this, near me, forces me to drink it and be healthier. So those are small little things that I do. Being early, I have the clocks in my home set 5 minutes early. Part of it's for my family. I don't need it. But anyways, 5 minutes early. So little things like that, I think if we do 50 small steps, add up to big shifts in making our lives better. And for those listening, I hope this is helpful, that you can't be an entrepreneur or business owner in a bubble. You can't. It takes the mental game, self-care, exercising to some degree, empathy for others, volunteering for that child, helping out in your choir or whatever community thing you do. Those things I find make an enriching business life.
I like that. And I'd add one more thing on top of that, which is connecting with other people who are building and growing businesses, because you can be solo, but don't be alone.
Yes.
These people will understand when you are pulling your hair out, when that proposal is sitting on someone's desk for 6 weeks, 3 months, when you had something nailed down and it goes away, when you are like, oh my God, I'm not sure I can pay my mortgage this month because I had to pay my vendors first and I haven't got paid and it's a 90-day receivable. Like, nobody else is really going to get the I woke up at 4 a.m. thinking about this stuff like another business owner.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's so true, because again, this goes back to the loneliness, right? And I'm not a clinical or psychologist or whatever it is.
All right. I just play one on TV.
Okay. But the loneliness leads to the depression, as it were, the short cycle. The depression leads to other things. So to your point, man, just calling somebody, having somebody on a speed dial, and as you said, going to a mastermind once a month, once a week. Right. Let me have a Zoom call. Peter Shankman, the founder of Haro, has this group called Shank Minds, where people just get together on a Zoom call. So you see 20 or 30 faces. I failed, lost an invoice, fired a client, got a new client. Yay! My son was birthed.
Right.
We're expanding. Whatever, just for an hour to chill. Adrian's networker friend of mine, another networking group. So these things are powerful.
Really powerful. And this is almost more true for women for some reason. Asking for help. Hello. Like, you would think it would be men, not asking for directions before it was on their phone for them. But, asking for help, it's fine. You don't look like an idiot. Somebody else has figured this out. Ask. I mean, I know some really smart people. If I'm stuck with something, will this business model work? How do I do this sales funnel? What do we think is the right, I don't like Barry's term, ethical bribe, but like, is it an ebook? Is it a webinar? Is it like, what? Right. And somebody else is going to see your stuff that you're like swimming in super fast. They're like, be like, hey dude, no, you just do this to this to this. And you're like, I didn't see it.
Right. That's so true. No, you're exactly right. I think, and that's the one thing that I think goes back to community with others, and you'll be smarter. You're an expert in one or two things. Not you, Catherine, per se, but those listening.
I'll take two. I mean, I may only have one.
But the other 99 things that we need, get help. Catherine, listen, I've taken classes in analytics, paid a friend of mine. Here's $250. Let's have a Zoom call and a screen share. Show me a little better. Now, I can talk about it from stage, of course, for 40 minutes, but I want to run my business. Show me that. As I said, I'm the guy who takes courses. I still need more because don't give me a quiz, but in finances. So I can be a little smarter in how to use my accounting software. So absolutely, I think getting help, or even bigger, I have mentors saying, I'm stuck. My business is, you can say it confidentially, call Catherine. Catherine, listen, sales are down. What do I do?
I get back channeled all the time. They're like, hey, you know what? I just sort of need someone to talk me off a ledge here. What do you got?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and but you mentioned a couple things. There's reaching out to your network or back channel. If you're a little embarrassed, do it quietly. Just say, I go, hey, Phil Gerbyshak, like I'm stuck here. Other people that we know. I'm so lucky to have these people in my life. They're so crazy smart.
Absolutely. And it's funny you said that, because I think going back to the having lunches, again, these are same size of the different coin or whatever it's called, but maybe there's somebody you go to for lunch once a month or once every few months. So I think all of these things, getting out there, having people having your own small virtual or real board of directors, being with friends, paying high tickets, going to your point, Catherine, for masterminds. I've paid, for me, it's a lot, $500, $1,000 to spend a day with a small group of people. All those things, I think, will help have a barrier against the depression and a worse that happens. I think all of us will have down days. Sometimes, Catherine, I sit here, okay, what do I do? How do I hire this person or whatever? That's natural. Right. But when it gets dark, when you feel that you're rocking, however you rock, virtually.
Right, or you're not getting out of bed. Unless you have to let the dog out, you aren't getting out of bed.
Exactly. When you start crying too much, and I say too much because, listen, tears come, things happen. but that's when you need that support structure to lift you up or smack you in the face.
Right. That was gorgeous. You hit all the boxes, and I'm going to add one more that I know you must be a big fan of, which is getting to a live event with other people at least once or twice a year. I know you have your event in November. You just completed it.
Absolutely. And hats off to Rachel, for example, one of my Facebook friends. She's an accountant. She's like, Ramon, I go to all these events and all this. So to your point, live events. And again, this is different. I think you tell me what you meant, Catherine, but different than just the going to a two-person mastermind or 10-person mastermind.
No. I'm talking about like a real event with 50, 100 people.
Absolutely.
In a room with the energy and some smart people and some good discussions and some support. I have met some people at Michael Port's mastermind that I was in who are still friends, 6, 7 years later. They're my lifeline. Like that, where else are you going to find like these people who, because if you're drawn to that thought leader, chances are the people who are drawn to them too might be your people. So if you're looking for people, that's a good place to start.
That is so true. And I mean, also the other things are you're in the hotel, maybe or maybe not, you're taking your spouse or significant other, they're off doing something, not too much bothering you, but you can be together. You're meeting other people. Maybe you spend some time shaking hands with that person you look up to. They won't have time the whole time, but just 5 minutes or 3 minutes. So you get a multiplicity of benefits. And I totally agree. And the tip I would look at, if you don't know where to go, one, look at user groups. It's not quite what me and Catherine mean, I don't think, but all the big vendors have user conferences. So where they have thousands of people who are going, that's one. Two, look at authors. Most of the very successful authors have some sort of mastermind, famous people. Catherine's mentioned Michael Port and Dave Ramsey, others like this. So definitely I encourage you, get out and go meet people. And it's an investment. Ramon, I got enough bills to spend. This is investing in yourself.
I don't know. It's just like getting, a big shot of vitamins for me when I go to one of those events. Just, you leave there and you're fired up and you get that happy glow of connecting with others like me. I don't know. I just think that's part of the overall cure, reaching out for information, connecting with people, joining a mastermind, supporting other folks, volunteering, and a live event. And then you're going to have to make yourself do this. It's not going to be like, I want to do it all the time, but, do it, get out there. And I think that keeps you out of the dark headspace.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And I think the more you do that, and the more you do it helps to keep you out of, and as you slip into it, turn to someone. Again, someone very close, whether it's a member of the clergy, whether it's your wife or your husband or
your therapist, your best friend, your whatever.
And make sure it's people that you trust. I say that because that's why my tone of my voice, I went very narrow group. That I went out with it, as it were, because I think I've conquered it and over it. But those of you who are listening are in that, you're depressed, you're down, you feel like doing some self-hurt stuff, get help. Go to a friend. Go to someone who understands you and can speak truth to you. It'll help you. And go laugh. Maybe you don't feel like it. Go to a comedy show. Come in New York City and go to Times Square.
Spend time with kids, spend time with animals, whatever. Go for a walk in the woods, whatever. Yeah. We basically know what our self-care things, if we think about it. For me, if I'm in a pool, I cannot be in a bad headspace. If I'm in water, I am a happy camper.
I love it. And for me, I don't know what it is. I think for me, I got to think about it because I like a lot of things. But I think being with my son playing pool and having some Indian food.
Yum. Big Indian food fan. Love to cook it too. All right, Ramon, thank you so much for sharing so much wisdom with us and your joy. And I know it's going to be helpful for someone who knows you publicly, and you're the guy with the ear to ear smile and energy and kindness and sharing your wisdom. But the fact that you openly struggle with some dark times too gives a lot of people hope. And thank you for sharing.
My pleasure.